Okay, so we're starting about 10 minutes late, so I'm going to go fast. If I get going too fast, say something, whatever. We're going to talk about securing your data connection strings. The demos, the slides, and everything is already up on the website. I'll give you a link at the end of the session. Okay, a little bit about me. If you can't tell from my accent, I'm from the South, grew up in Alabama. I have a lot of friends that give me a hard time about being a redneck. Had one of them recently sent me an email that said, "Redneck Mansion." Couldn't resist opening it. And of course I got this picture. And all I could think of was layered security. For those of you that may not be able to see it, that's mobile trailers. But anyway, so thinking about it, I want to get a little bit of a feel from y'all. How many of y'all have been using .NET Nuke at least 6 months? Raise your hand. How about a year? 2 years? 3 years? 4 years? 5 years? 10 years? There we go. Okay, how many, now chances are most of you, since you've been using .NET Nuke for a while, use some kind of tool, whether it be Enterprise Manager or Visual Studio Server Explorer or Web Developer Server Explorer to deal with your databases. You create databases. Everybody that does that, raise your hand. Okay, now, keep your hands up just a second. How many of you are DBAs? If that's your main job, what you do is handle. Okay, there's a couple of you in here. Folks, we are smart enough to know there's a big difference between us and those two people. Okay? We know a little bit. Now, I'll have another question I want to ask you. How many of you would consider yourselves security experts? Raise your hand. Wow, I got 2 hands. Normally I don't get any. I don't know if it's because security people are afraid to let people know they're security people or what it is, but it's not often you get people that are well versed in security. So most of the things I'm going to be talking about today come from the standpoint of most of us in this room. We're not security experts, but there's things we need to understand in order to keep our sites secure. We're going to talk today about DCS security, data connection string security. We're going to talk about DCS encryption. Everybody likes encryption, okay? And we're going to give you the link to the demo code. First thing I want to start off with is .NET Nuke is a secure application. Let me say that again. .NET Nuke is a secure application. What do I mean by that? Had somebody the other day that's running a 455 installation and they were having a quirky problem. And it happened to be one of the things that had been fixed in either 482 or 483. I don't remember which. I don't even remember what the problem was now. But I told them, you really need to go ahead and bite the bullet and update to 483. It gives you these security updates. It gives you several things that will fix this problem. And the reply I got back was, well, if it's bug-free, I'll go ahead and upgrade. My response was, I'm not willing to say any software is bug-free. Okay? You know, it may not have any known bugs, but you know as soon as you tell a client that it's bug-free, they'll be the one to find the next bug. So security is the same way. .NET Nuke is a secure application. A lot has been put into it to make it secure. However, there are things that you can do that can cause trouble with that. Think about your car. If you had the fanciest car in the world, oh wait, that picture looks strange. If you had the fanciest car in the world and you put a lot of money into it, put a great security system in it and let your keys out in front of a thief, or gave them to a thief, how long is it going to be before your car gets stolen? Not long. Well, .NET Nuke is the same way. If you leave the keys to the kingdom out on the internet or on your network or give them to some user or some program, how long is it going to be before you are invaded? You see, you have to be aware of the rights that you give to people or to processes or software, to modules and things of that nature. Okay, let me just give you a little example of what I'm talking about here for a second. Let me run a demo here. Let me kill this. We have a website here. Okay, this is a .NET Nuke website. It's a 483 website. We'll be using this for all our demos today. It's very simple. I've added a few pages and a few modules just to help with this so we don't have to build them on the fly. And one of the things that you can do very quickly and easily is have a module that does nothing but show you host passwords. Now think about that for a minute. If somebody has access to load any module they want to, what can they get to the system? If somebody hands you a module to load on the system and you don't know what's in it, what's going to happen? Well, if they're trustworthy, nothing. If they're good coders, nothing. But you need to be aware that what you do when you load a module in is you're adding executable code to your system. And many, many things can happen. This is just one of them. Let me show you another one. Let's say you bought some software, bought a module from me, and I know you're XYZ Corp or whatever. You buy a module from me that has this flashy thing it does. It costs you a whole $25. You know, that's one of the nice things. A lot of these things are really inexpensive, right? I give you the DLL, no source code, nothing that goes with it, and you load it on because it's wonderful. Then I go to your site. Let's say I am drive me crazy. Okay, now I go in and register for your site. Now I happen to know a couple of really special keystrokes on my module. So I go to my module, I push those, I look on your site, I find where my module is loaded on your site, I press my couple of special keystrokes and I click this little button and I want you to watch the menu bar. You notice this person that just registers now has admin access and host access. And no, you don't get this code. But the point is, you need to understand what you're allowing to go into your system. This is one of the wonderful reasons for the .NET Marketplace. They go through all the code. They validate it, that it meets normal coding standards. Make sure things like this aren't in it. And if you go into somebody off the street, you need to be able to do your due diligence as well. So let me change this user back. Log out, and we'll go back to our presentation here for a second. So when we're talking about security, we need to understand what we're securing, we need to understand what we're securing it from, and why we're securing it. How many of you have had somebody tell you in your company that you can't have passwords in plain text stored anywhere? A few of you. Well, a few more. Okay, some of you are ready. Folks, get ready. It's coming where almost, well, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of the information is no longer going to be able to be stored in plain text, even in databases. I made a comment like this a couple of months ago, and it was the next week I was reading a Microsoft blog where the SQL Server team was actually working on some ways to make encrypted fields keep their index sort order on the original data. Now, if you want to get a headache, think about that for just a little bit. So we are entering an age when data security, even inside the database, is going to be an issue for us. We need to understand what we're securing and why we're securing it. We're talking about securing our data encryption strings. Why? Because it's the keys to all the rest of our data. Now, if it's just a $3 website, it doesn't make any difference. But if you've got personal information on it, where some state has made a law that if that personal information gets out and you have to pay to have them get their credit scores 2 times a year for the next 10 years, it could cost you a lot of money. So it says, well, I need to be a little bit more careful. So you need to understand these types of things and who you're securing it from, where you're trying to block your security. If you're thinking about an SQL data connection string, this is a very common looking one here. Now I want us to look at 3 parts. The first part is the server address, the second part is the username, and the third part is the password. But which is the most important part? DBAs, you can't answer. Which is the most important part? Server name. Anybody want to go for a different one?